once upon a time. Border in a different form. It kind of got a little bit stale. Everybody played it. Everybody knew it. It wasn't as aggressive back then, but the meta wasn't as aggressive back then. It actually found itself around for a couple of metas, I say that. But when you had Coastline around at the same era, Border sort of, it didn't slip to not being the most aggressive map, but here it's kind of filled that void because it's quite shallow. There's very quick breaches in. You're looking at, okay, it's got a little bit more meat to the side of it around and away from the seating area and around towards detention, towards vents, towards that sort of AC corner, but still you're outside, you're in one window, you're in the site. And that is a sort of design aesthetic that's moved away from a lot of modern siege maps.
I was going to say as well, it worked really well back in the day. Of course, some changes have been made, but just to know, for example, Border was in a competitive map pool when the 416 had an ACOG.
Oh, that was an error.
When the SMG-11 had an ACOG, for example.
That was an error.
This is not really anymore the case at this moment in time. So it is a long time ago that a Border was a very stable map, and it is back, just not as played as often.
Okay, so we're starting in with the w7m defense, which is different to how it worked round, obviously, when they played their first game against each other. W7m led on with their attacks and then were punished by the attacks in the second half of Heroic. Heroic are a team that surprise a lot of first engagement teams because they come in a little bit unaware, they're unassuming. Although they were the top seed, they're still a fresh roster, but it's also the same, you could say, for w7m, a roster that didn't find themselves in too great of a position for a long time and then absolutely had a Cinderella story to get here. The ball's not over yet. A couple of slippers are starting to turn back. Oh, the slippers didn't. Never made sense to me.
Slippers?
How come everything else turned back, but the one glass slipper didn't? Cinderella, there's plot holes.
I have no clue. Maybe plot armor could also be the case, you know?
You're the worst person to ask this.
I probably would be.
Yeah.
Either way, as we go on, the dance hasn't finished yet for w7m, whereas Heroic is definitely on their last steps here and there. Let's see who is going to be able to come out victorious here on this Border. Is Heroic on that attack? Gorgona on the Nuck. That is not the operator who's been playing the last
You know, it's not something that you see too often. Usually if it's going to be picked up by anyone, Sloth likes to get in, but he's also found a bit of joy on the Finker, so he's going to see if he can think a couple ways that he can cause problems very quick. The pulse of the E1D and the catcher keys is the opener here. Benjamaster, who had an absolute screamer of a game, although they lost against DarkZero. He's going to see if he can keep that trend going. The first is caught by an ADS. There's a second. There's a second. It's kind of an easy catch there. They didn't drone it. They didn't burn it. There's a mute jammer on the door, which stops those drones obviously coming through, but you still want to see if you can find a little bit more. Maybe throw a flash or something. I guess when you've got 8 grenades, to be fair, why not?
Well, there's not really any flashes to throw then, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right, I just looked over.
Look, Gorgona gets a grand double kill for his efforts. He's looking for a third as he's hiding below some of these angles. Made a grenade will be angled up. Please don't fall back. He's actually going to get caught off by the third ADS. We now know where that one is, in the fountain. But it's only 2 players left on the side of w7m, and one just finds Sloth. It hurts. That will be able to find a bit of success. No, someone's out there, though, but Benja just lines them up with the L85, and that is a round for Heroic. I want to say road, but
it's not a road.
It's not a road. It's a hallway and a round.
Mr. Officers, I don't know what they're doing.
I didn't.
Maybe testing his headphones. Maybe his headphones are gone again.
Oh, maybe he's just making sure he's not having another technical at the end of things.
Yeah. All right, that is a very quick opening round for Heroic, but as I predicted, it would be not just from the team, but also from the map. I'm not going to call it inelegant. It's a very strange map in that it has some delicacies about it. It's very thin in places, as I said before.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a very quick tech pause to solve whatever the problem was there. Mr. Officer, as I said, he's not going to let the boys be downhearted. He's a man that is consistently have a smile on his face. And his shirt off on social media.
Yeah, definitely. His luggage didn't arrive. So,
luggage didn't arrive.
Luckily, they didn't know that he actually enjoyed walking around like that. Whereas rough wordings. Not quite sure who the issue had there for the tech pause.
I think it was Mr. Officer.
I would assume so. Are they going to do a headset pit stop?
Yeah, although I guess w7m's coach doesn't have a headset.
Well, he wasn't wearing one yesterday either, so...
He likes the freedom.
He likes those...
Doesn't like to be
the
tethered
wind
down.
over his ears, to be cooled down. Also, they don't wear white noise, but it's due to the fact that no one's out there, so they won't hear what's going on.
They won't, no.
Yeah. It would be very impressive, though, if they would hear Officer or the heroic players shout all the way over towards Mexico City. Now, not the case. He's trying to hype them up. You see that?
No,
just move those hands up.
No, I think he's trying to get them to talk.
Oh, just to make sure that they... oh, because
he
his headset.
Couldn't hear them.
That's it. Okay, I thought
I'm glad
maybe...
we got to the bottom of that.
I was like, he's just making all kinds of hand gestures. We know now. Some silence on the side of w7m as well.
I mean, they still have everything to play for.
They still have
that's the difference between the two teams right now. Is Heroic story is done. Sure, they can find themselves in the third spot, but it's not done for w7m. And they were quite, I guess, I'm going to say, stone-faced. They were quite serious. They were locked in. They knew what they needed to do yesterday. And they didn't do it to the fullest degree, but they did enough. And that's the important part, is they kept it alive. They kept it going, because that is still a lifeline. That is still something that you can call yourself. They're the same way now. They are focused. They are a team that obviously it's our first true experience getting to see them and cast them this directly and intently. And they pop off, sure, but not as much as some other teams that we've had.
Yeah.
They know how hard the task is.
You know, they keep the ball rolling for now. They keep the grenade hot, you could also say. Or
you could.
You could.
I'm not going to stop you saying
there's many other things you could say about it. But the fact is they have a lot to play for. And all they need is 6 rounds to, again, keep that dream alive. Of course, it would be very beneficial for them to get more than 6 rounds. To get 7, for example, before Heroic reaches 6, because that would put them up with 3 points, and those 3 points would start to close the gap towards G2. Just a single one. And then playing later on, that could be a very decisive game as well.
Attackers have located a bomb.
All right, Heroic. You've had your technical pause. w7m have also had that as well. So it's almost like a reset for both teams. It's like, okay, the first round's done. w7m, they're able to bite back a little bit, but I don't think they expected the pace of Benja Master. As I said, you sort of learn this from Heroic as time goes on. Now they've got at least some time to teethe on it. They'll be able to try and put some holds together. The catch on the drones with the Mozzie, and there's the swap to the mute as well. They want to have the limitation and make sure that they can control the game around them. The only swap is Gorgona is once again back on the Nook. Once again, they have 8 grenades.
Yeah, this is a strategy we haven't seen from them too often. So, 16 grenades in 2 rounds. How successful will they be? It's going to be a big question. A quick entry from detention, indeed. Grenades are being angled in, trying to find someone from below, and these cameras are being taken out as well. Benja just taking a workshop under his control.
I mean, it's so quick. They're just face-checking everything outside of obviously pre-placed drones that we don't entirely know about. The grenades are trying to find their way in from underneath. They want to make sure that they can utilize those more effectively than Gorgona with accidental self-destruction on the previous map. There isn't a body they've been able to find. Last time, Benja at least had a kill, almost close to his second here before. And here, Sloth's going to open up the hatch, give himself a little bit of width there, and cause some issues and some angles towards this player on the top. They have the E1D2, so if they really wanted to, they could do this. Try and catch the location of the player and then push at the same time. Sloth gets one at the top, is able to take care of the alibi, makes that fight a little bit cleaner and the entrance a little bit quieter, but it's Benja that almost suffers through. 92 is trying to find the reverse angle, another grenade, another bit of fishing, another missed catch.
Yeah, not able to find anything there. Volps will be able to find Sloth, however, and with that, only 3 grenades are left on the board. Zuno carries 2 around, cooking 1, tossing it up the stairs. It's not going to be able to hit anything. Actually, small amounts of damage towards both Volps and GDN. One more thrust through the hatch as well, hoping it goes through the rotate. Not the case in the end, and that only leaves Gorgona with 1 small explosive left, but he doesn't need it as he's just using the FMG9.
There he is. He's in. He's out. 92 has the angle. It's a lot happening over CC, and they've got themselves just a big open crossfire on it. And it seems like Heroic keep just swinging in towards it. Looked away at a time where he missed the player. The player's hopped on by, and Volps gets caught out. Benja's through, and Uno's gone. 92 once again using the same angle to get a second kill at the same location. Over a minute left, and a Kit is in a little bit of a tricky situation, because if you go for the recollection, you know they have an angle on that position already. So you've instead got to see if you can try and pull apart one of the other players. The other one, he's found himself sitting on the other side. Benja is doing just that, hoping that he can get the desire and design onto that close angle, but nobody is that tight towards the fight.
Yeah, so the drone is set up so they can cut this site in half just through this area. Benji now playing on there as well, and if they find one frag, they know the other side is going to be the one that is currently occupied by the defenders. And as Benjamin says, sneaks through, it is going to be GDN that's hiding in the corner in a potential spot for him to try and lock this up, but it feels like the plan is going through. Benja finds one, he knows the second one is close around the corner here, goes for the brief fire, is not going to be able to quite hit the shot. It is a one-on-one situation now, a shotgun gets pulled out, it's a trade kill, but since the diffuser was planted, Heroic gets the victory.
The trade, the pop-off and the swing round, it's the plant there at the end, and the flash came through just at the right time to stop the smoke canister being able to connect with where it wanted to do. They had the right idea, but that firefight there, the peek from behind the chassis and the connection just round on the post-plant swing. Heroic scrape on by their second round here, w7m. They lose out one more, but it is border. It is a map that does find itself leaning into attackers.
It definitely does. It is a map that shows some aggression here and there and favors those that will want to take those swings. And I think that top floor site we just saw, Armory is a very good example of it. As soon as you have CCTV control, you can cut the site in half by looking through the hallway next to the metal stairs. And you only need to clear one side of the thing. You don't need to clear both sides if you want to go for a plant. Should be an easy fix. And some of what we saw earlier on, that drone gave away a lot of the game. They were still able to find the person inside of Armory before the one into the archives, but at least they would have known if a rotation would be underway. And that was site that is, since the rework, a bit more prevalent. It is the bathroom in towers. Now, you normally wouldn't see that as much. Normally customs would be the tertiary site for many of these teams. It has changed, however, since that rework. So, bathroom tellers, a lot of open ground, directly bordering the workshop area, and that is often a place where either defenders will try and hold off or attackers try to enter from.
Wow, there's the wobbly lines of the E1T we got a visual of, which is always fun to see. Benja's going to see if he can try and once again get an early route through the site. They're not waiting around. Heroic, regardless of the fact that whether they're trying to put the pinch pressure onto the site itself or onto a player with the kit in pocket, they're just making sure that there's a presence very early. They're treating border as it needs to be tread, which is aggressive, which is hot, spicy. It's a whole melting pot of gumbo, and you want to be the one that is stirring the spoon, not being tasted. Gorgona with the Ossa is driving themselves around through just towards the big waiting area. The seats give themselves a little bit more width than the second. Well, that's going to find itself with the cross angle towards the rotation back through. A grenade onto the back line is going to start a bit of pressure. There's the second story hold, which means they can't just find their route through here, but they're at least going to start that aggression too.
Look at how much they were actually able to cut off with just that talent shield as JV92 able to find the very first kill or entry kill for w7m on this matchup here. That puts them into a bit of a better position, and with the verticality that's still out there, some Yokai drones as well, plans are going to be very difficult for Heroic.
Well, there's Grizzly biting back and finds a second Grizzly. He's had a great day so far, and so's 92. He's on for a triple there, and Grizzly is the man that meets him at the top of the stairs. It's a name that isn't always the most synonymous with being called out, but it is a name that's consistent. 92% cost was what Grizzly pulled in the previous map earlier today, and he's going to make sure he can try and turn that into 100 by how he's opened this game so far. It is a 2 versus 2 once again. We find ourselves in another position with a lot of time once again and a cold kit once again. A difference here, though, is there is a drone. The Echo is watching. Volps is that intel being fed by the others. They're going to have a little bit more wherewithal on where are all of the players of Heroic.
We're afraid that there might be a little bit of a push towards the workshop area. Now, of course, not really the problem that they need to worry about, because what's going to happen is Gorgona's going to sneak in, put down a talent shield, go for a bit of a reverse plant, and then these Yokais need to come in play to stop this plant from happening. A smoke canister does it first. 15 seconds. It will try and dissipate. There's one left, so only 10 seconds left of playing space, which means that Volps really needs to stay alive to use these Yokai drones.
I mean, that's it. They have the utility to win this out at this point. The other smoke canister perfectly played. He has to go deep, but there's the Echo drone, which needs to be caught out by Grizzly. Oh, this is really teed up to be Volps, but the cover comes through. Gorgona's going to see if he can stick it a second time, but GDN does the right move. Gets dropped, gets swung. w7m are able to take the round.
Able to clutch it in the end there indeed. They knew he was off the plans. They knew the timer was about to hit 0, but still wanted to be the aggressor there because the stun was there from the yokai drone. You do not want to give him the opportunity to swing on you first. And with that, w7m make it up to that 1 round, put themselves up on the scoreboard and find a 2-1.
Vent is where we're going to head to next. We find ourselves rotating background, and obviously W7M taking Bathroom as their first swing. It's not the most common to be your lead into a game, but sometimes you just need that lead. Sometimes you just need that, okay, we can do it. They've gone from being swept aside to a 1 versus 1 trade kill to a 2 versus 2 clutch out. Which, okay, technically a 1 versus 1, but it was so close together here. Let's see if W7M can try and turn that into a little bit more. If they can get themselves once again level pegging, if they get 2 defenses on their half, as we said at the beginning, Border, it does lean itself well to attack. That can really situate them in a good position for growth throughout this game.
It could definitely. Their run for the playoffs is far from over yet. And whilst Heroic might be having 2 rounds now out of these first 3, there is still a lot of opportunity for growth on the side of W7M. And it starts with this round as well. They need to start putting more on the board here. And if they start to turn the momentum with that win we just had, they will definitely be able to grow from that as well. Now start. Quick entry from detention side. This time would be covered off. Volps is playing down there. He's looking to roam around. Sloth instead, however, decided to enter in from the Teller side of things. Opens up a punch hole and the head of GDN. And I believe that was the only player directly on the side. Others are slightly off, so an opportunity is there.
He's holding the second story and seeing if he can just keep some control over this big open angle. You've obviously now lost the Echo as well, which was almost the clutch out in the previous round, but the intel sure did help. 92, who's been a big factor, is going to see if he can start being that once again. The E1D doesn't stop him though. He strikes, takes care of Sloth, removes them off the board after they've got their double. That's a couple of grenades left, but there's still 3 in the pockets of Heroic. Now Uno, he's going to get a little bit more of an idea over what is happening above the side itself. You can see Gorgona on the far side is stacked onto the double door. They have a route through, they have an idea, but they don't have the full clarity. Keys has the lockdown and the control, so it looks like vent window might be the angle of approach here.
For sure, Benja, he's looking, he's trying to find someone. A grenade will be pulled, and that will be a call for a runaway. Benja also heard that, so he now knows Volps is no longer in sight there. Keys able to lock him off as he was hiding in the close corner there, but he will be hunted down by the remaining Heroic members because someone just hopped into archives there. Is he aware? Yes, he is. Just has to stay alive now.
That's it. He's playing this perfectly. He gets out of there. He's hot-footing it. He knows the pressure's coming through. He's going to actually try and find one more, but no. Drops out, rotates off, very well put together. Volps has stepped in. He's causing some problems, and he's just going to try and rotate his way out as well. They're just doing enough. And this is what I talked about, what I liked from W7M's defenses. They never rest. They keep themselves sort of leaning back into the fight. And sure, they weren't quite able to connect with those early couple of rounds, but here they are definitely finding a little bit more of that energy, a little bit more of that confidence. There's the player at the bottom of the stairs. There's the one that slipped their way down the hatch here, and there's now an entire reset of positions. Just based on those movements, Heroic, the intel that they had is all out of date, but they've at least been able to get some control above the site.
I think a plant might be even on the board here. JV92 is holding a bit of a tight angle here, but as soon as he goes off, this could be a jump in that just got facilitated here, especially with these smokes that are now being deployed by Uno. A grenade is being tossed in to hold them back as well. A kill comes in from the side of Grizzly, who's still on a bit of a firefight here. Uno is going to go for the plants. The fire will be able to catch up one, but it's only up to Volps now in a 1-on-2 situation. We'll be able to secure one, but instantly the trade of Gorgona and Heroic will hold on to this round.
There it is. Just swung around at the right time there. It was almost a bit of a spicy moment for Volps. He was holding the angle. He thought he was outside of the fire. The grenade proved otherwise, pushed his health a lot lower than it was, and suddenly his route out wasn't one he could try and risk for the kill. It opened up with some good bite back there from W7M, but Heroic just had the advantage on the trades. Volps, he couldn't quite slip his way around the corner there of the bomb chassis, so it's the 3-1 Heroic. They're looking for 4 to at least consider this half, I would say, a success. They're still not as confident as they were at the opening of this, but they've at least learned a lesson. So is w7m. They still have the opportunity here to bite a couple of rounds back. They just need to try and find, I guess, a little bit more of a multi-prong. 92 has been able to lead himself in, with Volps and GDN offering a bit more, but you're looking at Keys, who's been a big performer for the team before, hopefully finding just a little bit of a connection with the heroic players.
Yeah, for sure. Herds as well. They need to make sure that they are stepping up sooner rather than later, just to make sure that they put themselves in that spot where they can fight. You said it before, a 4-2 is okay. That is, you know, both teams will be somewhat happy with that. w7m maybe a little bit less so because they have a bit of a deficit to overcome. But at that, if they do decide to start, you know, coming in now and make this a 3-3, suddenly w7m holding the better cards here. Well, double spawn peek setting up here. Volps ready to go for a run out. Keys just spraying through some of that barricade, but there is a drone in position. They know that barricade is now clear. However, there is more aggression being sent towards the outside of the map.
Well, the E1D still screaming, but so is 92. He is led into this. There's the name you wanted to pop up, with Volps being the third on the list. 3 different engagements, 3 different fights, and 3 different success stories for w7m. They need that multi-pronged hold. Herds does get the full connection in the end. That's 4 different players, 4 different kills. I think we just need GDN to get one, and it is the team ace here.
Uno just holding on there. A run out comes in from 92. It's a flawless round for w7m. And with that, they find the second of the, well, at least 2 that they want to have as a bare minimum, but the second of 3 that they will be looking for as a potential comeback throughout that second half. Make sure that they will be taking that early lead and make sure that they will be keeping their dream alive, because 1 point's all they need to stay alive. 3, of course, way more preferred.
Bathroom tellers, we find ourselves maybe hurtling towards an even half here. It could be the 4-2 and that standard push, but that is obviously, we're going to say Heroic are starting to learn lessons. w7m just took them to school. That was such a good hold there. That is that game we talked about at the beginning, and that, for me, is the first time we've truly seen them warmed up. All right, 92's had a great game so far. Volps has been able to bite, but the fact that we saw multiple w7m guns firing off, which is what we've sort of had from Heroic, is what you need from the Latin American team, because they're capable of it, sure, but also because that's the game Heroic likes to bring, which is generally 4 big gunners and a support structure behind. You've got to have a response for that.
You definitely have and need a response for it. The last round of this attacking half here for Heroic. Would like to avoid going into OT, of course. Just make sure they end their major run with a clean victory over w7m, but it might not be. And as everything is being set up, all the reinforcements but one have been placed and hatches have been destroyed. It's Heroic that is looking to enter from the opposite side of the building. Now, they got to make sure to do not get caught off again, because there was definitely some stuff that went their way. However, all the plan denial in the end was eventually what cost them the round. As Benjamaster gets in quite quick up on the armory side, a drone is just a couple of meters ahead of him. They're trying to find these players on the top floor, but there's some shields here and there, and a C4 that had been pre-placed. Benjamaster gets taken out, however, revived by the adrenaline surge, and that allows him to live on for now.
The grenade over the top, but Keys over the bottom, finds Grizzly and gets the catch on one. Herds is able to pull himself away from the true damage. The smoke keeps standing, and they've used that well before, and even better, there's a second. And well, we talked about it 2 rounds ago. We want to see more from them, and they found 3 kills over those 2 rounds so far. Still more potential to find a little bit more here. Heroic, they're trying to drive themselves through. The pings are continual. The intel is so hot. And Volps, he wants to see if he can try and find something with an explosive of his own. It's been a grenade push that has often been the lead in here from Heroic. Not too much success. Can the response be one of something from their own?
It's always going to be the big question indeed. Are they going to be able to find anything here? They're in a 3-on-5. Pings are given out. They know where some of these players are. As Benj is slowly being healed back up to about 50% HP by Sloth using these adrenaline surges. There is still that castle barricade, but they know that as soon as you open it up, you're stuck in a hallway. You will be swung because you still have the hammer in your hand. That means you cannot shoot back at that moment in time. So it's not really an option they can go for. They need to either use a grenade or a gun 6 to get rid of it, or maybe some Excars of Uno.
Sloth, he's trying to see if he can get a sneaky way around, but the beepers will always reveal all. And w7m aren't overextending at this point. They know they have a two-body man advantage. They know that they can set themselves up for a bit of a trade game here and keep it a bit scrappy. As the mute jammers are going to keep some control over here, depending on how high those X-Kairos went. Sloth's going to start a free-fire game. Benja gets a catch, but is caught straight back. As I said, it's the trade game. That's what w7m are going to set themselves up and try and play around, and Heroic know that they've only got these two bodies left. They have to make sure they have the same connection. It's a very clever breach and break there. Keys has that angle with the impact. He opened it up and made sure suddenly they don't have a clean route through. The fear of the position is in. 15 seconds. A spray got up through the hatch. The C4 is going to open another angle, and that's what they're doing right now. w7m is sort of saying, you want it to be here? No. You want it to be here? No. You want it to do anything this round? No.
They take the victory there. They're able to pick up these picks left, right, and center, and they're happy about it. They also know that it looked very dire at the end of yesterday before their last matchup was played. But they also know that with Heroic now knocked out and them being on that even split, that the hopes and dreams of making it to the playoffs are starting to rise up and up. And G2, they remember that one round. They lost yesterday against w7m, where Prana went off the defuse, and they might be looking back to that and thinking, all right, that might be more troublesome than we might have expected beforehand. Of course, they still have 2 games after this. One against DarkZero, one against w7m, and if they pick up the points against DarkZero, the game against w7m won't even matter anymore at that moment in time. But we're not there yet. Only 6 rounds have passed, and w7m is currently equaling the score that Heroic have been able to put up. But now the signs have changed. It is Heroic on the defense. w7m is going to be looking to open this one up in some fashion as the Monty is being brought out. A Finka, a Yana, and a Sledge plus Lion might be indicating a bit of a early attempt of clearing out these roamers, using a Monty together with a Lion to make sure the rooms adjacent to the bomb sites will be clear.
w7m, if they can take an early round here, if they can start on the best possible foot, the same way Heroic did against them at the start of this game, well, they might find themselves in a little bit more of a lock-in. Obviously, the comparison is on their previous competitive map, which is the Bank, which is a very different play space. Benja almost instantly suffers here, and Herds wants to put a little bit more suffering into him. He's pulled back. He's not been able to find as much success as he did at the opening of this game. Since then, as I said, we've seen more of a pop-up and a pop-off of the players from Latin America.
Interesting to see how the Monty here will be used. I can only imagine they might be aiming for a potential reverse plant into the archive store as it gets opened up by Keys. Things are going to be tossed in as well, and if I just quickly look over to the right-hand side, there's no smoke canisters. However, one D is coming through, and that grenade often catches someone off in the bit of the sandwich area, right on the hatch. The Sloth, however, playing there, takes small amounts of damage. Needs to be careful, though, because the second grenade could always be tossed in.
That's it. As soon as that drone came around, he was like, there's going to be another one. He pulled himself away. It seems like they might have rotated a little bit off the top. That sort of spiral, whatever that structure's called. This is when I need Milos to be like, it's called like a pipette or something like that. No, they're pulling themselves away. The Monty's going to see if they can try and push down the corridor. It's a long bit and about a fight to take here. And Benja, oh, he's tucked in. Oh, he's revealed. And there's one. There's a Monty trying to get the second, caught a bit by the explosion on the wall. GDN, a very quick response there to make sure they at least bit back. But Volps is gone. You lose your sledge, you lose some of that momentum, some of that drive. Office is a big bit of control to take, however, on this site. And Herds, he's trying to find the fight underneath. Grizzly, he puts a bit of the fear in, and there's still a bit more support, but Kokona can't quite get the same connection. Around the back of Grizzly, Herds is treating this very well and keeping himself alive and live down at the bottom of the staircase.
Keys as well just saw someone slip by there, knows there's a bit of a challenge being set up, tries to get a grenade in, but it drops on the ground behind him as he gets taken out by Sloth. and leaves it in a 3-on-3 situation. Monty's trying to put some pressure down, get some pings out. He's giving away the position of Sloth, who now drops through that hatch, and that is important. That's an extra gun off the ground. Hurts finds one, but he doesn't know about the second one being out there. Grizzly trades it out, but now there's an opportunity to go for a plant, as there's only one near the actual side. Uno is dancing around the player from w7m here, but he does receive some pre-fires left and right. He's being pushed towards the bottom floor himself as well.
He went for the rotate underneath. He knows he's more important alive, and they need to take this as a 2 versus 2 fight. The Monty's got the kit. They're going to see if they can stick it. It's a lot of soft, and the burn of the flash is over to the top. The shotgun ready to rock round the corner. He's just saw the planter on the far side. They just get it off, and now it is the 2 versus 1 situation to the 2 versus 2. The shotgun can't get the full connection with the player. It's a 1 versus 1. Uno got the Monty. He's off the board. The shotgun finds it, and Heroic with an Uno clutch are able to pull themselves through that round.
I'm not sure how the Monty actually died there. I believe Uno might have gone up and came in from the back of him through the small office as the Monty was facing the first shotgun that was putting the pressure truly down upon them there. And as the Monty, it could have been that win condition. All he had to do was stick himself in the corner, make sure you let them work to try and get you, waste that time, play around with the shield. It's eventually Uno with that shotgun able to find the very last kill and the defuse to be on the board. And with that, Heroic still in the lead. Or again in the lead.
Again in the lead, yeah. Not really still in the lead. They sort of had it pulled back from them. w7m are a bit toe-to-toe right now. It's technically back in the lead, but it's the first round they've won for a while, so it's a little bit of a breath. But at the same time, as I said, the importance of that opening attack, okay, if you're looking to have more attacks in your half, there is still the defense has that onus, that pressure. To be honest, none of that is on anything more than that opening defense. You got to make sure you at least have one place that you've put that notch in of success, because if that suddenly becomes, well, where can we find it? Well, it's tough to bite back. w7m did do it on their half to come back even, but the difference of having it happen at the start could be a huge one.
It's still a very strange kind of defense, though, where the Heroic members just all drop down hatches as soon as they received a small amount of pressure. And yes, they were able to put up some kills, and well, eventually the trades came through in the workshop area as well, and it all balanced out. But then Heroic had to go for a retake whilst the plant was going down. So it was an odd series of events we definitely saw occur there. Doesn't matter too much as we're on to the next site now. We're on to the bathroom tellers, and Hurts looking to get up on top of the balcony here on the upside down, is hoping to catch one of the Heroic players off guard if he's going for a bit of a too aggressive run out. And Grizzly's thinking about exactly that, just underneath this window, looking for a hop out, but he doesn't quite know where anybody is. He's so close to solve. Oh no! The ERC-7 gives it away to the IQ because it was activated. He tried to not be spotted by the drone, but with that, it is the sensor that finds him.
Oh, that is a tragedy that every Vigil main just suddenly had a moment like, oh yeah. You don't often see the IQ catch that in that sort of position. It was such an aggressive place by the soft window, but that's border. That's a map like this, where, as I said many times, it's delicate. It's paper thin. You suddenly find yourself in a fight here. Uno is about to have the same. Keys is doing the other side. He's going for a bit of a quick swing here, around onto the side. He's looking for the aggression, and, well, he doesn't hold it very long. Uno, he had a better read on the position of the player there. There's the upside-down rappel onto Sandwich. Uno, you're going to take that one as well. How hungry are you? Hungry enough? No! Volps just swung down the connection and the timing into his favor.
Bit too aggressive there maybe for Uno. I mean, he realized someone's out there. He wanted to pick up that kill desperately, but instead put Heroic back on a man disadvantage here. Doesn't matter too long though. Benja will find one instantly. Rotates back around into the small office here. Volps is quite close. There is going to be an E1D that pops. They should be aware of someone out here, and the G3 will be able to find a kill. It is only up to Benja now in a 1v3 situation here. He finds one, but there's two more around, and w7m are going to be able to put yet another round on the board.
4-4, back and forth we go, and as we said at the start of this, sure, w7m want the full 3, there's no doubt about that, but they just need to get to OT to keep the dream alive.
Yes.
And they are on par for at least that. Early takes and bite back here, as we said, they've definitely learned the lessons that Heroic posed at them on the previous sort of meeting and showdown, where I believe it was a 7-3 into the favor of Heroic. Here they've already outperformed, but they look like they're on course to do much more than that.
They could definitely be on course to take a full-fledged victory here against Heroic. And G2 will be looking at this game. And they're going to be grabbing that little stick and start poking Heroic like, please, please get 6 rounds. Like, make sure that we at least take some points away. Because the more points that Heroic prevents w7m from getting, that means that G2 needs to get less points over these next 2 games they will be playing. So, with that being said, 4 more rounds in regulation, and potentially 7 more if it would need to go all the way to 15. Now, with that, Heroic, again on their defense, some last-second changes coming out. They might look like a repick, whilst the attackers have only used 1. But that's what happens if you change your mind in the last couple of seconds of the big phase. So, clearly wanted to go for a different kind of strategy for this side. Oh wait, they didn't go workshop. I've written that workshop already. They changed it.
Idiot.
Well, they did have workshop, and then they changed it.
Never write it down until you're in the game.
Well, luckily, I can delete it.
Yeah, well. All right, over the top, they're still setting themselves up, ready to be rocked by Herds, who's going for a quick bit of pressure down into the double door. But look at this. Detention might find itself popped open very early. Are they going to try and impact over the top? Well, they're going to try and actually grenade over the top first. There's the grenade, caught out. There it is. The impact doesn't get the exothermic, couldn't quite get the angle. It's a bit awkward with that archway to pull off the same sort of tricks. The way it rounds over the top means you really have to rehearse how to catch that grenade.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he was being forced back a little bit as well, as Gargona is right now with that grenade, vertically putting up some pressure upon him here. Make sure that he's not feeling as confident and comfortable anymore at that position, as he's down onto 30 HP now, not going to be able to take anything else than 1 or 2 bullets. And A1D pops up as well. Often would be to be followed up with at least an entry somewhere or an attempt to. Doesn't really seem to be the case now. 92 putting up some pressure. Still a member around there from the side of Heroic that is just wondering right now, is he going left, is he going right, where is the pressure truly coming down from? So Grizzly, he's smartly relocating himself.
That's it. He was in a bit of a gambit position there, but the drone game and the intel game has been pretty good from w7m. They seem to have a good grasp on how they want to try and lead into the fights, and they make sure that they have the clarity on who is around. He's going to use an E1D just to buy himself a second, and Grizzly's actually got the rotate background to where he was before, tucked in on the close corners as Volps has slowly and steadily crept his way around once again. He did these sort of plays before, where he got himself off to a bit of a loose side and an angle, and he was able to find a strike here under the hatch. He's hoping he gets another catch, as he did last time. Somebody dropped a hatch onto his head. Just over a minute left. Suddenly, he's drifting his way down towards the site itself, up the stairs. Grizzly gets the first. Benja locks in a second. This is a big time, and Benja makes sure it works into his favor. Keys now, he's a bit lost in the air. He's trying to find somebody just to bring himself back to ground with the body drugged by somebody else. There it is. And now they can at least try and build behind that. 40 seconds, though, and 2 meet them on the door. And there's Uno with the trade on the second. Heroic, once again, back in the lead. Back and forth, though. And, well, it's probably not the last time we say that.
It's definitely not to, and we have a tactical pause coming through this time. So 45 seconds will be given to talk to either side, where they will be having an opportunity to try and see what can be changed, what needs to be done differently to secure these rounds for w7m, because we said it before, they need overtime. They need 2 more rounds to stay alive and have an opportunity to challenge G2 for that playoff spot later. Now, Heroic is looking to stop that from happening. They themselves are already out. If they win from w7m here, they have the opportunity to at least outdo them, to outscore them, to take the 3rd place in the group. You don't buy a seat on the main stage with that. I mean, it's over for them. They're not going to be able to go to playoffs. But at least they will be coming into that 9th to 12th spot. And that is something for your first major. So Heroic 1 round away from picking up at least a point. Removing 1 point that w7m can potentially grab. And w7m 2 rounds away of keeping their dream alive.
2 rounds, w7m, and wow, that is it. That is the line. And that is the line that you sort of have to hold on to. It was a similar story for Heroic in the opening game today, when it was a bit do or die. How close could they get to the fire? Unfortunately, They got burned. And now they're at least going to try and drag somebody else down with them and give G2 EU at least a bit of a hope. We have one team confirmed qualified in one group. Well, I guess we'll at least see if we can try and confirm a second. We had all 4 over 2 groups. I mean...
Yeah, we had one drop out on the other, and one that has dropped out here, so let's make it 1 for 1 on either side.
The group gods weren't kind to us.
They weren't kind to us, that's for sure.
EU, a tricky situation.
But you gotta deal with the cards that you were handed.
Yeah, you do.
And that is...
and only one can win.
That's true, only one can win in the end.
You gotta be everybody, you gotta be the best. Regardless of how the group phases come together, only one can win. So you gotta beat everybody else. Heroic. They might be able to at least take w7m out of this consideration. w7m have to beat Heroic here to keep the dream alive, and it's going to start once again with a quick pace. I love the width from w7m. They get themselves all over the shop. They have the stretch. They have herds on the far side. But again, the drone game, very consistent, very deep into the map itself. They're able to try and get early calls and reads on parts and plays they want to push.
A little bit of damage done into 92 there, nothing too much. Could easily be healed back up with an adrenaline surge. Now, an E1D pops off, not followed up by one of those surges to give a bit of extra HP, and that might have just been to completely stop Heroic dead in the track. Slow them down just ever so slightly, just to make sure they're not truly moving on you. Not bringing the aggression that Benja is currently bringing to either side of things. Another E1D pops off. He didn't just stop in time. He is going to get pressured, however, and picked up by Hertz.
There it is, Hertz. He's so sharp on those quick motions. Removes Benja, who's obviously been a big problem when he's in his sort of zone, his element. And this element, the only one he has is, well, hydrogen. Up in the air. Nothing he can do or connect with at this point. Grizzly, he's going to see if he can be a little bit more of an explosive one. Try and find a connection with anyone else just on the lead in there over the side of the site itself. They still have some pressure from underneath. You can see the stretches once again coming out over Office. They were able to get the kit down. They went really deep. They sort of didn't feel confident with the soft underneath them this time. And I think it looks like Heroic are going to make sure that that stays consistent. No more C4s. But 2 impacts at least, and some destruction that will come through from a shotgun.
Ninja kills have been very important in this matchup here. So Benja, a top fragger on the side of Heroic, being taken out of the equation this early on, it's definitely going to be helpful for w7m and their chances of equalizing that score again, from putting it up to a 5-5 scoreline, making it a small sprint to the end to see if they will be able to win it or if an overtime is going to be on the cards. With that, Heroic trying to hide, trying to stay put. They know where the objective is. They know verticality will be the name of the game that w7m is going to be attempting very soon, but it's dangerous to move back in. It's almost impossible to retake that top floor control, and that impact will just open up a wider angle as Grizzly does exactly this. He retakes the top floor, just does Slough, just does the rest of Heroic. They're on the top floor now, just one left on side.
Oh, it was such a bold idea there. They opened up the angle and went round the backside. Slough gets one, gets dropped, traded out all over the shop, and there's Grizzly, finds the hatch, finds themselves at least secured with OT. w7m, 2 rounds to get themselves to a point of staying alive. 1 is all that separates them from also being confirmed out of playoffs.
Oh, they are under pressure right now. Heroic 1 round away from taking this win as their final game of this major, with that securing G2. That is what is between them and a potential success from Europe in this game. You mentioned it before, w7m 2 rounds away from staying alive. Can they? Can they get those 2 rounds? Can they turn the tide now? They've used their tactical timeout. That means there's nothing else the coach can do now. They need to do it between themselves. There's no one there to help them. This is an interesting castle setup. I don't know if you see this, but it's one on either side there, and then a small opening made towards the open area slash little balcony that has been added to the map. And it provides cover towards the office whilst they can still fight outside of it.
5 seconds remaining.
Well, the 5 versus 5, and a pretty hefty attacker epic there. The Amaru I'm curious to see how that comes together, combined with an E1D that, as I said, I really love the intel game that w7m has played here. They've really just had a little bit of spark in their step. It's close to over, but it's far from over. It's one of those sort of moments right now where it all comes down to them. How can w7m drive themselves home 2 more times, 2 more runs at a heroic team that's still keeping themselves motion, still keeping themselves alive? But will they thrive here? Draining their way across the bottom, once again rolling with that start of those little kits and devices just to get the read and the beat and the pulse of the players. Nobody is handed so freely this time round as they got the pick up with the IQ before, but look at this, already in an open hatch. Anything that looks like that is an invitation to an Amaru.
It definitely is. The Amaru's looking for a way in, and it seems like this is going to be the hatch they want to go for here. And E1D pops, and so will the Gara Hook at the end of it. No, not quite yet. They don't know if it's going to be safe.
An Echo drone just came down.
Yeah, and it isn't safe because Gorgona's out. He's just going to drop on top of them. He doesn't see the second person. He is going to get taken out. Fulps was just thrown on the ground. Uno drops as well, and now sees as if he gets taken.
Oh, he landed on a player, but he dreaded them with not enough respect. There, Herds. He's able to find one, and it could have defined the round, but instead it sparked the fire. w7m, they're in the 4 versus 1. It's an E1D post plant, finally catches the Amaru and gets a free kill out of it, but still everything left to do. Opens up the impact in the rotation. The angle isn't quite gifted with the head of the first, but they get it back. w7m, 1 round away.
1 round away from keeping the dream alive. It's do or die, truly, in this round here. It's all coming down to this one, round number 12. And Gorgona, you might have even seen him there in Fulps. He was just swapping back to the gun, was debating, should I go for a knife? No, let's just secure that kill. Let's just make sure that we do not mess it up right now in this position, at this moment in time. And his armory is again to be brought out here by Heroic. What is w7m going to be going to do different today? Because, I mean, they kind of, lost someone on that drop, but they also got given a kill. They got given an entire room that came through as well. And as a tactical timer now used by Heroic, it shows that they truly want to win this game.
I mean, this is their time to do it. This is their moment. They know what is on the boards here, which is a win. And sure, the difference is seeding. The difference is a performance, but you always want to perform when you're on this stage, regardless of whether you are playing for life or death or playing a game. You're at the top tier, the top caliber, and you got to make your statement. You got to write it in the walls, etch it in the stone, and all those other similes and metaphors we've used.
And it's all coming down to the next 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Potentially more of a diffuser gets planted, but it usually comes down to this timer here. Not a lot of plants we have seen. If you look at it, just 1, or 2 actually. 1 by Benjo, 1 by Grizzly coming in. And right now, 6-5. Action phase about to start. w7m, no, it's do or die. It's this or no playoffs opportunity. No fighting for the playoffs against G2 and hoping that DarkZero will help you out as well. And a match point for Heroic.
All right, w7m, this is your chance and opportunity. If we're going to say everything comes down to a best of 1 round and a map sometimes, this comes down to just 1 round. There is really nothing else. It is all or nothing. And it's going to kind of carry itself in a generally similar way in terms of the line, in terms of the push with the Thinker. The Twitch is there, but there's a little bit more of a focus onto the hard destruction capabilities for grenades. Might be able to find and swing their way through onto the soft floors if they go underneath. It's not a game that they've tried to trifle with too much throughout this engagement, but it is one that they can do. Fulps, yeah, he's been a pretty consistent force for the team. He wants to see if he can try and put the pressure here onto Office. Benjamaster, if we're going to talk about risking it all or nothing, he is prepped and ready. Just tucked on a close quarters corner here. He knows they're a good drone team, and that's always the worry that you play in these positions. It wouldn't be the first time a Heroic player has been punished by sitting close to a window.
No, the last time it came down to an IQ as well. With a Twitch drone coming around the corner, the first has been taken out. But a small opening gets made. That's to get a grenade through. So what about you just send a C4 back through? Could be the kill. No, it misses. It goes too far. But it definitely makes Keys afraid just a little bit here. The grenade comes through. Will take out the Electric Claw. And that allows the armory wall to be opened up in the next 100 seconds or so.
That's it. The armory wall is a big point of contention here. They've obviously been able to get it put together, and you've got a couple of smokes in the pocket of Herds here as well, so they can make a bit of a standard connection across the board. Heroic, they're trying to give themselves a little bit of wiggle room, a bit of a stretch towards CC, but it's awkward at this point when you're going for a retake. The players underneath in the E1D with the drones coming around the corner as well. Double stacked here, and Sloth finds the opener. K's gone off the board. Herds going for an important creep up those central stairs. The core of the site itself onto metal, swings one way. Doesn't quite want to look the other, but gets the camera. There it is, over the top and the bottom. The E1D comes in at the same time, reveals the player that went for the drop. There it is, locked. And unfortunately, we didn't quite get the full taste of either one, but Volps is the next to suffer on the entrance. They're trying to stick themselves around the corner. The cameras cover it, but it's Gorgona with one more. Volps off the board. JV is making sure it doesn't end, and Herds, he's making the same statement. 3 versus 3, it's still alive for w7m. They're trying to force their way through onto the site. Herds is back onto these core stairs, but as Fountain explodes either side right in front of them, he's trying to find some control here. The smoke gives him a route out of there, but that bulletproof on the backside of the lockers is causing so much issue. Goes deep, gets dropped. 3 versus 2. Gorgona and Uno doing everything to hold on here to Heroic. It's over on Sandwich Window, and Gorgona's got a huge rotation from w7m. The shotgun is locked, but with only 15 seconds, it is all down to Herds and GDN to keep w7m's dream alive. Latin America, they're behind them, and they're once again up the stairs. The success at the top, a triple, a shotgun round. Uno, the big pickup, gets one more. 2 seconds, 1 second left. Heroic! They're able to take the round, the game, and unfortunately, w7m, we say goodbye. G2, they were gifted a route through to Charlotte by Heroic, and they're handed a playoff spot as well.
They're being sent up by Heroic as a last push. Make EU proud. We helped you here. We helped you yet again. Unfortunately, their story will end here. The pictures are being made. They end their major run on a victory. But unfortunately, it ends here for both Heroic and w7m. Both fought valiantly, but a team from Mexico City, or at least playing in that position, is not proceeding to the playoffs. And Heroic already knew that, of course, before that, but they got so close. A one-on-one.
We will throw to a quick break before we're back to break down that game.
5 seconds. Operators, you are out of...
Hello and welcome back here in, I guess, a commiserations room. Crabs in a bucket. If you're not going to make it, well, we're not going to let you escape either. Heroics stop w7m so close to keeping the dream alive. But unfortunately now, with that result, we have the confirmed 2